Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, today we continue with our understanding of the concept of spiritual, emotional, mental and physical wellness, and how we transcend fear to hope and to love. And this is the fundamental idea of Islah and the fundamental idea of ihsan and tasawwuf. So what is important is for us, especially in the 21st century, is to try to bring about a beautiful message of Islam, not based on fear, but based on hope and love. This is very important because unfortunately, if you look at the history of Islam over the last 300 years, all Muslim countries were colonized by the Christian colonialists, and we have created a mindset of enmity and fear. So we are living constantly in fear. Whereas in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always tell us about Basirah wa Nazirah. He sent our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a bringer of good news and also as a warner. So what is important is for us to transcend this idea that Islam is based on fear. The Muslims must constantly live in fear. Fear of being colonized, fear of being ostracized, fear of being oppressed, fear of being... So many fears that we have that is playing in the mind of many Muslims throughout the world. So the da'wah that we see today, unfortunately, is based on the da'wah of fear. We are talking about, if you don't do this, you go to hell. If you don't do this, you go to hell. So constantly we are reminded of going to hell. But we are not constantly reminded of the joy of love, hope, and happiness in the path of Islam, in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to shift the whole mindset of the ummah. And this is what, inshallah, Professor Muhammad Mahdi Jenkins, Allah yarham, myself and our friends, we have this framework of positive Islamic psychology to help transform the thinking of the ummah from negative fear-based thinking to positive hope, love-based thinking. And that is very important. So, back to the idea of Basirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a rahmah, as a mercy, and as a bringer of good news to all humanity. That if we acknowledge our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we lead a good life, we are entitled to the everlasting love and peace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the realm of the hereafter. That is the main focus of every human being who wants to have peace and happiness and success in this world and the hereafter. So we have to now start within our religious leaders to emphasize on not the fear aspect, because unfortunately, if you look at the current situation, throughout the most lectures that you see, whether in YouTube or you go to Islamic lectures, you can see that this aspect of fear is about 80%. 80%. Aspect of fear is 80%. Constantly we are bombarded with the fear of hell, fear of hell, fear of hell, fear of hell, but only 20% is talking about the joy of heaven, the joy of love, the joy of happiness, the joy of being a Muslim, the joy of having its spiritual, emotional, mental and physical wellness, having peace and happiness in this world and the hereafter. So we are the ummah selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to lead towards this Basirah, this good news. So it is our duty to spread this good news. But first and foremost, we have to correct ourselves, to bring this good news to ourselves, because we have 1.7 billion Muslims in the world and we are in a very bad shape, unfortunately. But there's always hope. Remember, there's always hope. We are living in fear. If we look at our brothers and sisters in Syria, for example, it's a very sad case of oppression, very sad case of killing, a very sad case of war within that territory, which will bring no good, and it will reverberate over maybe another 30 or 40 or 50 years from now, even if they have a peace process. But the people of Syria is living in fear. The people of Palestine is living in fear. The people in many parts of the world, the Muslims are living in fear. Even now in the West, we have this anti-Islamic movement that try to create and ostracize Islam and label Islam to IS or some extremists or suicide bombing and so on. But that is their perception and that is their projection. But we contribute to their negative perception, because if we constantly ask ourselves, why is this happening? This is happening because over the last maybe 50 or 60 years, the kind of Islam that is being promoted is a very extremist form of Islam, maybe a form of Islam that is very literal, taking text out of the Quran and the Hadith without thinking of the context in which we are living in the 21st century. So there are many reforms that has to take, because the beauty of Islam, the beauty of our usul that was brought through our Prophet Muhammad SAW and the Sahabis and all the great Imams, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Maliki, Imam Hanafi, Imam Hanbali, and all the great Imams, they have collected such beautiful, broad-based usul fiqh that is constantly viable at any time, at any place, at any point of civilization. So in the 21st century, we have to now realize that we cannot use the fear-based Islam, but we must use the hope-based Islam. That means our emphasis should be that how can we bring this good news to the Muslims first, so that we can transform ourselves to become a true and sincere servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to become His Khalifa on this earth, striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making this world good and pleasing for all goodly creatures of Allah. Because, like it or not, in this 21st century, coming to the 22nd century, humanity is at crossroads. Either we change our lifestyle from the consumption, materialistic based society that consume and consume and consume and destroying the whole environment, or we will self-destruct as a civilization. And this is not what I'm saying. You go through all the great scholars today. For example, just one little example, climate change itself is the greatest threat to the existence of humanity on this earth and all other living things on this earth. Why was this allowed to go on? Because greed. We allow our greed to exceed to the limit in which it becomes part and parcel of our 21st century civilization, that we consume more. The economic model is create more, consume more, destroy more, until the point there will be nothing left but total destruction. So inshallah, based on this, we must then transform, that we can see, okay, the ummah, let us not talk about the very, very basic fundamental things that is dividing us. We should come together as an ummah to become an exemplary ummah of hope, of happiness, of peace, of Jannah. And we emphasize this to our children, transform them with the positive imprint of that this world has been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not for nothing. He has created this world for a purpose and meaning, for us to exercise our role as His representative on this earth, as His vicegerent on this earth, and for us to make this world good, and to show to the world, to all humanity, that we are the best of all humanity. And that is what we have to do. So remember, start telling our children about the good news, Basirah, and make it our focus, so that inshallah over time we Muslims will be the bringer of good news to all humanity, in terms of our social, in terms of our psychological, in terms of whatever that we see, in terms of ecological, whatever goodness that we can provide and give to this world as our contribution to lead a good life, to receive the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, striving to be good, helping others to be good, making the world good as a true and sincere servant and Khalifa of Allah. And inshallah, we'll be blessed to achieve the best, to fulfill the best, and receive the best in the way of Allah. Inshallah.